Wonderful coordinators forum in just a minute. Whoops, I've got the, okay, everyone. Well, welcome to the January 2022 CPS Coordinators Forum. We're so glad that you could join us. We have a really great slate of speakers today. I'm excited you could be here. I am, yeah? Oh, I thought Tim was trying to talk to me. I am Mandy Seataller. I'm the current chair of the National Child Passenger Safety Board, and I'm the Alaska Statewide CPS Coordinator. And it's my honor to serve as your MC today. And we would love to know who is joining us. So if you can list in the chat box your name and where you're from, we would love to know. As a reminder, attendees are requested not to participate in this call if you're operating a motor vehicle. This webinar is going to be recorded, and you can listen to the recording when you arrive safely at your destination. Today's topic is enhancing outreach efforts with state child passenger safety liaison teams and boards. We will be joined by representatives from 4 states who will share their state child passenger safety liaison team board model. We are going to begin today with Delaware. Aubrey Klick is from Delaware. She is the fitting station coordinator for the Delaware Office of Highway Safety. She has been a child passenger safety technician for 5 years and an instructor for 4, and she's currently serving as the vice chair of Safe Kids Delaware. Welcome, Aubrey.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today just to share a little bit of what we do in Delaware.
Bear with us just a second. We need to mute a couple people. All right, why don't you go ahead and give it another try?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to share something that we do in Delaware to really enhance our technician retention and keep kind of everybody on the same page with us. So I wanted to talk about Delaware CPS Digest. So what is it? It's a monthly newsletter that goes out to all of our certified technicians and instructors in the state. It's like the CPS Express, but it's local. And I try to get this sent out within the first 5 days of every month so that everyone has enough advance notice to participate in whatever's going on that month around the state or around the CPS world. And you just have a little screenshot of what the top of the digest looks like. How do I do this? I use MailChimp, just MailChimp.com. It's a free service that I happen to find to be very user-friendly. I can add an address book of as many people as I want, and I compile the email addresses from the Safe Kids State Contact Access. I make sure that all students are told at the end of their certification class that they're going to be added to my mailing list. So right then and there, they can tell me if they don't want to be on the list. But recipients always have the opportunity to opt out of the emails if they feel like they don't want them. All of the information that I send in our CPS Digest is also posted in our private Delaware CPST community Facebook group. So there's more than one place to find all of this information if they want it one way or another. So I wanted to give a little behind the scenes look about how I do this, just to show really how user-friendly and easy it is to get this out to our technicians every month. So when I log into MailChimp, all I have to do is click that I want to design an email, and this page will pop up, and I just have to give it a name. And as soon as I hit begin, I'll be taken to this page here, where again, you can see how user-friendly it is. When in the to box, I can just add my entire address book for my CPST contacts for the state. I put that it's from me. The subject line is always the same as my campaign title. So I always name it the CPS Digest for whatever month and year it is. I don't have to do this all in one go. If you see at the top, it says finish later. I can always just save where I'm at and come back to it another day. I can immediately send the email out to everyone, or I can schedule it for a later date. So if I want it to come out on a specific day at a specific time, I can schedule it for then. So the real meat and potatoes of this is the content section. So once you create a main template for if you wanted to create your own digest for your state. Once you create one template, you don't ever have to do it again. And that's what I love about this. It makes it really easy for me to get information out there. So all I have to do is hit edit design, and I can choose from my previous month's digest to just recreate the same thing. So I can just click on this month. I would choose the January 2022 to edit from last month, and it'll take me to my editing page. So all I have to do is go into the different text boxes and change the information, what I want there and what I don't want there. Some things stay in the digest every month, and some things come and go. The sections that I try to include for our technicians are upcoming events, conference opportunities, upcoming webinars, local updates, news from the CPS world across the country, and resources for technicians. So I'm going to give you a little snippet into each of the sections to kind of detail how I include it for them and how I spread the information. For the upcoming events in our state, I always list the date, the time, and the address. So you can see a direct example right to the left. That way they always know where they're going to be going, and they can always email me if they need more information for it. For the conference opportunities, I try to list virtual and in-person conferences that are upcoming. If there's a cost, I list the cost, and I always list links to register. During the pandemic, we had a lot of great opportunities to attend conferences that we normally wouldn't be able to because of travel and cost and things like that. So I really tried to ramp it up during the pandemic to make sure that our technicians were getting all the opportunities they could. So here are the examples. You can see on the left the virtual opportunities. So I always list the title, the dates, if there's a registration fee, and anything that you'll see in yellow on my examples, they are direct links to whatever information that they need. So for the conference opportunities, the direct link will take them right to the website or registration page for that conference. And then for the in-person conferences, I like to give a little bit more detail. So you can see my blurb about Kim on the right-hand side, listing dates, cost, and a link directly to the Kim webpage, just in case they want more detail. So I compile these from a lot of different resources. When I make the digest, I always go to the CPS board website and check there to see if anything new has been added, the Safe Kids certification site, and other resources from around the country that I know of, such as Buckle Up North Carolina has a great website that they put webinars on. I put the links to registration, and I also include whether the webinar is CEU eligible or not, because I don't want my techs coming to me and being like, oh man, I watched that and I didn't even get a CEU, and that's what I needed. So you'll see on the right after the time frame, for the first one, it says that it's one CEU eligible, but at the bottom, that one was only community education. So I listed that it doesn't qualify for CEUs, but that they could use it for community ed. For the news from the CPS world, I like to include local event results. So if we have an event, I like to list how many car seats we checked and the misuse rates that we see. The course completion results, so how many techs the state has gained. I also list new seats that have been announced with their features and the manufacturer product pages. And I also list recalls, so any car seat recalls or any CPS related vehicle recalls. And I always link to the recall page on NHTSA's website. So here's an example. This is the top of the what's been going on is my CPS world section. So local news, we had to put that our fitting stations were closed for the month of January to in-person sessions. So I wanted to make sure that all of our technicians knew, what the status of our fitting stations were and where they could send people. And I directly linked them to our fitting station contact information. Here's an example of a recall blurb. So I try to include what the recall is for, what the solution to the recall is, and of course, again, down in the yellow, it's linked directly to NHTSA's website. And then these are the blurbs on new products. So I like to list a few prominent features of the products, and I always link directly to the manufacturer's webpage so that the technicians can familiarize themselves with the seats. You know, if they want to go look at the manual, they can do that, or if they just want to go look at price points, features, things like that, they have a direct link right there. In the resources section, I always link to places to find CEU eligible webinars. I always have the American Academy of Pediatrics listing of car seats available. And I have tools that are put out by manufacturers and other resources. So for example, right now, I have Darrell's product catalog for technicians that they made and the JPMA list of manufacturer contacts. Examples you can see on the bottom left, I've got the updated product listing. I let them know what year it's for, when it was last updated, and the direct link to it. And then on the right-hand side, I've got the direct links to CEU eligible websites that have them there. So I like to put everything in one place so that the technicians don't have to look all over to find what they're looking for recertification. What I love about MailChimp is I can actually look at who's looking at it and who's not. So you'll see it'll tell you how many successful deliveries I had, how many total opens out of those were there. And I can look at individuals. So if someone ever comes to me and says, well, you didn't send me that email, I can check and see if it actually went to them and if it was successfully delivered or not. And I can see whether or not they have opened it. It also gives each individual an open rate percentage and a click rate percentage. Here's an example that I took from my address book of someone who never opens my email. They have a 0% open rate and a 0% click rate, but I can see that the message was successfully sent. Why do I do this? This encourages our CPS retention by providing resources all in one spot. I've come to find that our technicians are confused about where to find things, so I like to give them everything all in one place every single month. And then this way, no technician in Delaware can come to me and say, well, I didn't know, unless they unsubscribe or they don't read it every month, but they at least got it. And then in addition to the digest, I email technicians 1 month before their certification expires, offering help, guidance, and I give them their expiration date. And then they receive a follow-up email from me if they haven't recertified 1 week before their expiration. So I know Delaware is small and it's easy for me to send. I'm sure some of you saw that the delivery was only to 55 people. So we're quite small. But even if you didn't want to do this as a full state, you could do it separated by counties or, eastern, northern, western, different sections. So it doesn't have to be huge. But if anybody wants more information about how to set it up or a deeper dive into how we do this, you can feel free to contact me. I'm going to put my information also in the chat box. And I'm going to stop sharing for just 1 second. And then I'm actually going to show you what the final product looks like. So here's the product that everyone receives at the end of the month. And it's just cut out into different sections. They can see the webinars, the information from the CPS world. And then if they want to, all the way at the bottom, unsubscribe is down there. So if they don't want to receive it. But that's just a little tool that we use here in Delaware to help hopefully retain more of our technicians.
Wow, Aubrey, how do you feel about an out-of-state following? I think I would like to get on your email list.
Actually, I do have some people from neighboring states that like to receive my digest. So yeah, if anybody wants to receive the digest, all you have to do is send me an email and I can add you to my my address book and you can get it every month. So I'll put that in the chat.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. I love the way you put together the information, and wow, that seems like something that all of us can do. So we'll have a little time for Q&A at the end. But I want to thank you so much for this information, and I'm looking forward to getting on your mailing list.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. Ceci, if you'll go ahead and pull up your PowerPoint, I'll take a moment to talk about the great work that you're doing. Cesi Velez is the project manager for Washington State's Child Passenger Safety Program. She has been involved in traffic safety for the last 20 years, utilizing her passion in trying to keep all road users safe. The last 10 years, she has been facilitating the car seat program, supporting the child passenger safety technician courses, network of car seat technicians, and providing educational tools and training. Cesi is housed at the Bonnie Lake Police Department, although she provides a service for the Washington Traffic Safety Commission, their highway safety office. Prior to becoming the project manager, she was one of the 2 Target Zero managers in King County, Washington's most populated county. In this role, she coordinated traffic emphasis patrols for occupant protection, impairment, and distracted driving. Cesi was also involved in the development and implementation of many car seat, helmet, and pedestrian safety programs. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Is my presentation showing up okay?
Not yet.
Okay, so let me see here. How's that?
Still not yet. Maybe we'll get Tammy to share it for you.
Okay.
And while she's pulling that up, Denise asked about other states that send out reminders. I'm trying to pull up your text, Denise. So if you do that kind of work in your state, if you could go ahead and put it in the chat bar, we can all share our information. And there we go. Thank you, Tammy. So Ceci, if you'll just let her know when to forward your slides. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me here today. And I'm going to share a little bit about the approach we use in Washington State to reach all of our technician network. So next slide. Okay, so Washington currently has about 400 car seat technicians, and 22 of them are child passenger safety technician instructors, and we have about 10 technician proxy, and we offer on average 10 CPST courses throughout the state a year. Next slide. This map represents our current network of car seat inspection services. We maintain about 100 different inspection stations and seat check services. That includes 19 virtual seat check services, and those are available to families, can access that service anywhere from the state. So that was brought on during COVID and has been extremely beneficial, and we're continuing to provide that service. Next slide. So in order for me to solely support approximately 400 technicians and over 100 car seat check services, I partner with a dedicated group of individuals, which enables me to reach all areas of the state. This network is made up of Target Zero managers, Safe Kids coordinators, and or local child passenger safety team leads. This network of child passenger safety leadership at the local level is structured with the Target Zero regions. So this is a snapshot of our Washington State network for child passenger safety, and I'm going to dig a little deeper and explain this approach. So next slide. So Washington is made up of 17 Target Zero regions that you can see on the map, each of which has a Target Zero manager, or what we refer to as a TZM. The TZMs are actively involved in the coordination and fiscal management of many of the state highway safety offices grant-funded projects. They coordinate all high visibility patrols, including DUI, holiday, click it or ticket, drive sober, get pulled over, and on the road off the phone campaigns. Some TZMs are technicians, most are not. However, they are included in all of my correspondence to the technician network. Next slide. So in Washington State, there are currently 13 Safe Kids coalitions. The Safe Kids coordinators educate families, raise awareness, create safer environments, and advocate for improved laws to protect children. Naturally, they have an interest in child passenger safety. Not all of them are technicians either. In the absence of a Target Zero manager or a Safe Kids coordinator, who isn't involved in child passenger safety, there is a child passenger safety lead identified in each region. This represents the leadership and contacts in each region of our state. If you look, say for instance, at Region 10, Snohomish County has a Target Zero manager and also has a Safe Kids coalition and coordinator. The Safe Kids coordinator is identified as the communication lead by the highlighted yellow asterisks. The region, this region provides the perfect example of local leadership working together and the ability of the state's child passenger safety program to support their local efforts. The Target Zero manager has its own set of task forces for traffic safety, the Safe Kids Coalition, and the coordinator has its set of injury prevention programs, and child passenger safety is a priority for both. So it's just a great partnership. Another thing I'd like to add to the statewide partnership is between our state program and Safe Kids Washington. I am a member of their advisory board for which child passenger safety is a high priority, and as well as other data-driven injury areas. The collaboration allows for consistent messaging, joining and utilization of funds, and alignment of program goals. Next slide. So in reaching and distributing information to our large network of technicians, I generate a statewide communications intended for all 400 plus technicians in our state. However, what I do is I send it directly to the region's child passenger safety communication lead. They then distribute it to their local technician network. So they have the lead at the local level has a list of child passenger safety technicians in their region. That list is updated anytime a CPST course is closed and finalized. Then I go through the class roster and send them an updated list and a suggestion for a welcome letter that connects that technician to the local resources, invites them to attend a community event, or keeps them in the loop and communicating with their local techs so they don't get lost in the shuffle of everything and overwhelmed after becoming a new car seat technician. Because of this structure, it allows me to reach and communicate regularly and ongoing to the local leaders in each region. I wouldn't be able to have immediate response and service provided to over 400 at the same time. So this adds that layer. So what that communications lead does is then they take my statewide announcement and then share it with the local technician network. So this is just an example of my year-end communication. I probably generate these every 6, maybe 8 weeks at the most. We all know our email inbox gets inundated at times. It's always reference, the subject matter is always important update, Washington CPS program. When it's something intended to go out to the statewide technician network, it is read and highlighted in the beginning of the email message that this is intended for you to forward to your network. This was a year-end one. I provided them some statistics on what they accomplished in the past year. It will incorporate, upcoming events, trainings, conferences, CEU opportunities. You'll have the most recent Washington State recall list, if anything has been added to it. Anything really important, quarterly reporting, due dates, let's see, products that may be circulating but not approved, products for child restraints, anything that is relevant to them and will help them obtain, recent knowledge and know what's occurring in their local area. This region setup also is really helpful when we're scheduling child passenger safety technician courses. We have regions that are very densely populated that have a course every year without fail. And then other regions are every other year. And then some are just on an as needed basis. So it gives us a structure to rely on every year as we anticipate needs and interest in technician training. So again, the Target Zero manager, Safe Kids coordinators, and the local child passenger safety lead work with me directly. They receive all of my communications and they help recruit for training courses, car seat events. They assemble and distribute educational information, social media, graphics, things like that at the local level. So that has allowed me to be able to support the statewide program and has been very, very helpful for us to achieve in Washington State. So the last slide has my contact information if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to address any.
Thank you so much. I loved this. And I wrote down something that you said while you were speaking, local leadership working together. And, I think that's our theme, especially over the last couple of years. How can we work together and complement each other more? So thank you for that thought.
You're welcome.
We will save our questions until the end because we have so many fabulous speakers and I want to make sure everybody gets a little bit of time. So Robert, if you'll go ahead and pull up your presentation, please, and I will introduce you as well. Robert of the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute is currently serving as the director of the Indiana State Highway Traffic Safety Office after his appointment by the governor in 2018. Prior, he served as the impaired driving training coordinator for the state of Indiana, coordinating both statewide training programs of the standardized field sobriety testing and the drug evaluation classification DRE program. During his law enforcement career, he served for 18 years, retiring at the rank of captain from uniformed law enforcement service in 2018 upon his appointment as the traffic safety director. Traffic safety instilled his place in his career early. In 2005, he was certified as a drug recognition expert and as an instructor in 2006, diversifying traffic safety with occupant protection. He's also served as a child passenger safety technician instructor for 12 years and is currently certified as a child passenger safety technician. I'd also like to welcome Robert to the National Child Passenger Safety Board. We're so excited to have you join us. And I'll let you begin. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mandy. It's my pleasure, my gift to be able to be back here with you to talk about some of the great things going on in Indiana. I'm thankful to be able to join the board with the blessing of the Governor's Highway Safety Association to work together to see where we can bring things a little further along, trying to reach down towards our goals. So I'm going to talk to you today about our CPSS program. So if we didn't have enough acronyms that started with CPS to start with, the CPST, CPSTI, CPSI, well, in Indiana, we have CPSSs, and they are Child Passenger Safety Specialists, because child passenger safety in occupant protection is a specialty field. not just little people, but little things make a big difference, as we all know, when putting in child restraints and teaching for the proper installation of those restraints. So I am going to, again, look at what we've done. So we similarly, not as big as Washington, we're a little bit smaller state, but we also have zones or regions divided across the state of Indiana. We have 6 of them. And we have a child passenger safety specialist assigned to serve in each region. And their purpose there is to work as an advocate for child passenger safety, to work as a liaison between the child passenger safety technicians and us at the state office, to make sure we're providing the right resources for them in the best way possible, providing those resources when looking at supporting their permanent fitting stations or inspection stations, if you're following the NHTSA terms, to be a resource, to be that in-region mentor for new technicians, also technical expert to provide their opportunities of experience in working with other seats in different types of vehicles, and maybe they've got some workarounds that can be very helpful for new technicians. So as I said, one of their goals or responsibilities is to work with newly certified technicians by creating that connection early on at the child passenger safety course. So we ask that the technicians attend at least a portion of each course held within their region to make that connection early on, even before they finish certification, to know that there is a local resource that's immediately available to help them as they begin this journey into helping out the folks in their regions. They provide a local resource for seat checks and promote CEU resources. So we want them to be that first inline contact in the region, not someone from Indianapolis trying to talk to someone all the way in Vandenberg County, which is where Evansville is, or all the way up in Lake County at the Chicagoland border. But we want them to be that first line contact and be able to get to them to be able to do those seat checks. And kind of fostering this idea, I guess I would say it's a long time in the making, because that was the whole intent initially why I became a instructor back in the day, was because we had a lack of instructors to do seat checks. And that was before we had a technician proxy program and other pieces to help get over that hump to be able to do those seat checks. So that's what kind of brings out the idea in my mind of why we needed these specialists to be able to do this. They also assist CJI, which is the home of the Traffic Safety Office, in meeting the federal requirements for activity and inventory management. So as a recipient of federal funds by receiving child restraints, we have to do program monitoring with them. A lot of that comes over and out of the NDCF. I'm going to talk about it a little bit of how we use that and why our specialists are the in-region tech resources to help people get on board with those pieces. But they help us by doing that monitoring once a year and making sure that we're rotating stock and inventory as best as possible. And then, as I said, they serve as the technical experts for our folks from the NDCF. And I have to talk about, they will not be happy about me taking their pictures off the website and putting them up here, but that's okay, because this program is really about them and what they do. I am just the spokesperson and presenting of all the great stuff that they do. So the Northwest region is currently staffed by Kathy Stelmar. And Kathy has done a lot of work in Illinois and Indiana. She's kind of crossed over those borders, and we're hoping that once she fully retires from working at the police department where she's at, that she'll be able to come on board with us more. I have a vacancy in the Northeast region because of one of the presenters you're going to hear about here later, Lonny Haschel. We latched onto him for a little bit and had him working in the Northeast region, and now he's doing some other great things with the National Safety Council. In our central region is Hannah LaPrade, and she works over on that Illinois border, all the way over running that I-70 corridor. And then Keisha Nicholson. Keisha brings a lot of experience to us because she worked as the Safe Kids coordinator back in the day for the state of Indiana and is a professional educator. So she helps us with a lot of those pieces in that part. Tiffany Trulock is in our Southwest region, and she's one of our newest instructors and also one of our newest CPS specialists. And then we also garner a lot of past experience with Jennifer Hacker, who serves as our team lead for all of our CPS specialists in the Southeast region, who priorly worked with our contracted automotive safety program here. So I have a lot of experience in trying to make use of those pieces of experience, and the numbers really tell the story. Unfortunately, I am a state highway safety office director, so I rely on the numbers, and we are the beast that is always looking for information and always looking for the data. So what I've kind of compiled is the listing of certifications and where Indiana has increased above where we were before on those recertification pieces. So all the way through except for July of 21 and December of 21, with the use of our child passenger safety specialist, Indiana has always exceeded the national level average when it comes to recertification for technicians. We run a little bit larger than the Washington program on our total number of persons certified at any given time. So percentages don't always tell the story, so the raw numbers are in here. But I look at every person that we train that we don't retain as a person that we lost, as a person that we gained, and we need to really invest in those resources and do all of those pieces that we can to keep them. So December of 2020 was our highlight month where we broke 70% for our recertification rates. But this is one of the goals and one of the expectations for our CPS specialists. They have their own mailing lists and they're required to meet with those folks. When we have someone leave that doesn't recertify, then they provide that information to us at the office of what was the reason. I'm glad to hear when there is a reason that someone doesn't recertify that the biggest reason is because there's just something they didn't have time for anymore, or it wasn't what they thought it was when they started. But it's not because they didn't have the access to C checks, they didn't have the access to CEUs. It wasn't because they couldn't afford the recertification rate. The things that we at the office really have the ability to affect, it seems like they're reaching those things to the region, so that's good. The other thing that I really like to talk about good with our specialists is their effect on the National Digital Car Seat Form. So Indiana remains one of the power users. There's other states coming on board and they're always chasing. They're gonna eclipse us at some point. We're gonna blend away on the map, but right now, if you look at the NDCF, you'll see a nice bright purple picture of Indiana. And from September 1 to 2018, we were one of the early adopters to September 30th of 2020. There was a total of 14,000 seat checks or inspections performed. And you can see where we were, there were inspections, but then when the specialists really came on, we see those inspections really take off with where they're at. Looking at the period where we're coming out of or coming through the COVID period, the pandemic period, we were up to just 17,000 inspections where we had gained with those. Saw a little bit of a drop off, but just under 3,000 inspections in that period for Indiana. And overall in total, July 2018 through November 30th of 2021, Indiana has about 34% of the inspections in the DCF did come from Indiana, and we run our entire program in Indiana for supporting these stations through the NDCF. If you're not using it, it's a great tool. You need to get on board with it. It gives you everything that you need. And this is the map. It's one of those great pieces that come out of it. I can see in the heat map immediately where we're performing inspections at, where we're not performing inspections at, and I can overlay that with the crash data with those pieces. So if it wasn't for the specialists that is being in there, that are giving people the confidence to move from pen and paper to that technology level of input and helping them find those CEU resources and making sure they have the opportunity to get C checks easily without a struggle, we would see lower recertification rates with where we're at. Indiana is always working to do better. This is a snapshot of FARS data for the year of 2019 for the state of Indiana, looking specifically at children involved in fatal crashes and by restraint use and type of use, whether the primary occupant was restrained and all of those different folks. I have included a hyperlink to that site in the presentation that I will give to Tammy, so that way she has that available. I'm looking forward to NHTSA to continue to build out this site, so that way we can look and see for those folks as we move from year to year. So that is my contact information. That's how we are using the CPS specialists in Indiana. We wouldn't be able to accomplish some of the great things we're doing there without them.
Thank you, Rob. You guys are really doing some great things. And, you know, you said you were all about the numbers, but I really appreciate that you took time to thank all those people that are supporting you. Kathy, Hannah, Keisha, Tiffany, and Jennifer. We should all give a big shout out to all those that are making all of this happen behind the scenes. So thank you for making it more about the people, even though it's supported by the numbers. Thank you for being here today. Again, we'll hold some questions. We are going to move on to Idaho, and we're going to be joined by Tabitha and Brian. And Brian, if you'll go ahead and load up your slides. Tabitha has been a grants contract officer with the Idaho Transportation Department in the Office of Highway Safety since July 2019. And she currently manages the Alive at 25, motorcycle safety, occupant protection, and the child passenger safety programs. Brian Rauscher has worked for the Northwest Infant Survival and SIDS Alliance, NISSA, for the last 10 years. He is currently their Chief Operations Officer and is in charge of their Safe Start Infant and Child Health and Safety Programs, Child Passenger Safety Program at the North Idaho Child Passenger Safety Team. He's been a technician since 2016 and an instructor since 2019. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Petroleum Engineering with a minor in mathematics from Montana Tech of the University of Montana. His passion is child passenger safety, and he's really excited to present to you today. Welcome you both. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
your slides are, looks like in speaker mode. We can see the next slide.
You can. Okay, let me try to
Okay.
get back out.
We don't mind seeing the next slide. We know what's coming, but
Okay. How about now?
no change, not yet. And we can go ahead and proceed this way. Oh, and now I just see the slides on the side.
I went out and went back in. Any luck?
Nope, but let's go ahead and proceed this way. We can
Okay.
see the main slide, and we'd love to listen to what you have to say.
Shoot. Okay. Well, sorry about that. Well, thanks for having us. I'm in place of Karma today, so I'm sure she sends her blessing. She's had shoulder surgery, so she asked me and Tabitha to fill in for her. So we're just here real quick to talk about what we're doing in Idaho with our liaison program. And so we'll just jump right into it. So who we are 7, well, I guess there are 9 of us now, and we're all throughout the state of Idaho. Idaho has 7 public health districts, and there is one of us from each public health district. I am Brian Rauscher. This is most of us here. Ellie she is Health District 2. Karen, Pam, Jennifer, Jeanette Risch, Jen Westendorf, Sergeant Everson with Bannock County Sheriffs. And then we also have 2, which is, I think, kind of unique to our state, is Idaho has 5 registered tribes here. So we actually have 2 tribal liaisons that we just brought on. So we're excited about that. And then, of course, Karma is our state coordinator, and then Tabitha Smith is our grants manager extraordinaire. So what do we do as liaisons? So our program is relatively new. We've been doing this about a year now. I think we're coming up on a year. And so what we do on paper, right, is we extend the reach of Karma to all the technicians. We improve accessibility to Karma to all the technicians, right? Because Karma is one person. And we also build relationships with our techs and do all that, right? So what I tell my techs when I go see them is I say, my job is to keep you supported, engaged, and above all, certified. Okay. So that's really what we do, right? My job is to keep the techs in Region 1 supported, engaged, and certified. So some stuff that we do along the way, right? We assist Karma with, centralized leadership and support. We build partnership with other agencies to promote, community events and trainings. Of course, we do tons of car seat checks. That's part of our job. Our liaison team is the state experts on the NDCF. Idaho made the decision to switch all of our reporting over to the NDCF September 1st of last year. So we had a whole process that we went through to do that. We had a transition guide that we created, sent out to all of our techs. And then Karma and Ms. Tabitha actually found some money to purchase iPad minis for our, I think we have 92 to 95 check stations. So we as liaisons were able to distribute those and train our techs in how to properly use the NDCF, submit the data, and all that. So that's been great for us in Idaho on a state level as far as immediate access to our data. So that's, part of what we do. A little bit about Idaho is we have about 2 million, little under 2 million population. Here is how Idaho is split up. I am Public Health District 1. I'm all the way up north. And then everything else kind of breaks down like that. There is our population numbers, kind of how those break out per health district. And then our check sites per health district, we have, anywhere from 10 to 20 based on the district. So that's kind of how we look right now. As far as technicians, as of when Karma sent this to me, we have 273 certified CPSTs. We do have 20 certified instructors. We have 27 special needs technicians. And then we have 10 child passenger safety technicians that work for tribal entities, which is really something that we strive for in Idaho, because we do have 5 registered tribes. And so we want to make sure that whatever we're doing includes them and we're able to serve their needs as well. So this is kind of how it breaks. Idaho's a really, really big state, right? I'm all the way up north. Most people are down south. So it's really helpful for Karma as well, because Karma's kind of in the middle on the right. And depending on where she's going, she's anywhere from a 3-hour to an 8-hour drive just to get someplace in Idaho. So with that, I'm going to let Tabitha take over with where we are now.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So I just kind of wanted to echo what Brian said. This is really, I wish Karma could have been here with you today, because this is her baby. This is her program. It was her brainchild, and she made it happen. And so I'm just supporting her because she has just done amazing with this. So Brian talked a little bit already about what we're doing with the NDCF, that we purchased 100 iPads, and we have 93 check sites. That was a good guess there, Brian. We have 93 check sites, and we've distributed iPads to them. And Brian kind of talked down his training manual, but he actually built the whole thing. And so if anybody ever wants to look at it, it's pretty amazing. I'd be happy to send it to you. Let's see, our liaisons also help with CEU updates. So every year we do a CPS summit in conjunction with our office's Highway Safety Summit. And so the liaisons help a lot with the development of that and assisting with technicians getting there, making sure we have our attendance up. Seat Check Saturday 2020 was pretty lacking as far as Seat Check Saturday goes, but 2021, our liaisons across the state did a really great job, and especially Brian up north. He did a whole week-long tour of the northern Idaho. So that's another big thing that our liaisons do, is assist with agencies in their respective regions. Our liaison team, specifically one liaison that we have who happens to be a sergeant with a county sheriff's office, worked to get our CPST course certified with post credits. So that's, we haven't seen the benefits of that yet, but we are expecting to hopefully see more law enforcement sign up as CPSTs with getting post credits. And then, as Brian mentioned, we are kind of unique with our tribes, and we did add 2 tribal members to our team this year. So that's been pretty great. So what's next? Strategic plan. We actually locked ourselves in a room last November for a very long, hairy day, and worked out a 5-year plan, strategic plan for our team, which I'll talk a little bit about on the next slide. And we're just going to be working on expanding our check site network and our CPSTs. And that's also in our plan, I'll talk about in a minute. And partnerships with neighbors. So over the next 5 years, we're really hoping to start partnering. I know Kelly with Oregon is here, and Cesi with Washington is here. So hopefully we can start working on getting partnerships going so that our kids are safe, not only on in Idaho's roads, but when they cross the border as well. And so I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. I just want to talk a little bit about our goals. We want to reduce overall misuse rate by 10% in the next 5 years. We're going to be able to pull that data from the NDCF. So hopefully we can see at check-in time that the misuse rate will go down a lot. We want to achieve a base of 400 CPSTs. which I think is achievable, but not without a whole lot of work from our liaison team. And then we also want to achieve and maintain an overall recertification rate of 50%. So I was really, really impressed with Indiana's recertification rate. We are not quite there. And I'm sure a lot of states probably saw that the past couple of years, our recert rate plummeted. So we're shooting for 50% and maintaining that in the next 5 years. And then finally, my last slide here. So this is the grant funding side of things. If you're not interested in grants, feel free to tune me out for this slide. But from the state side of things, we did fund the liaison team through 402 funds in the highway safety plan. And so with that, we had each of the liaisons signed an agreement that they will provide quarterly reports, and that would be how they get reimbursed for things. We provide them with funds for continuing education, so that's like Kids in Motion or Lifesavers, and travel expenses to those conferences, as well as to regional visits with their check sites in their areas, and our quarterly in-person meetings that we have. And then the CPS Summit as well. And then we also provide them $25 an hour for contractor hours. So when they provide those reports saying how many hours they worked, then we will compensate them for that. And now I'm going to send it back over to Brian to wrap up our presentation.
So you can probably, everything probably comes up at once, which this was my big end slide. Karma wanted us to talk about something we really like, what we do, what we like, what's happened with our liaison team is every liaison's kind of brought a unique skill set to this team, right? And now that we all have buy-in and we all have, you know, like skin in the game, we're excited to use our skills to push our program forward. And it's supposed to come up one at a time. So I have a graphic design background because I work for a nonprofit. So I do about 15 different things. And so Karma did send out a quarterly newsletter called the Buckaroo Gazette that she turned over to me because I can't ever say no to Karma because I love her to death. And so I was really proud of this until I saw Aubrey in Delaware talk about what she's doing. But so got to step up our game in Idaho. One of our techs came to our liaison meeting and said, hey, I found this really cool thing just about education, this flyer. Can you make it? So we made that flyer. Karma wanted a trifold that we can take and leave at businesses and like police stations and just to recruit new CPSTs. So all the graphic work I do, if anybody's interested in any of that for your state, I can totally just personalize it for your state. I just got to change the state name. Get a hold of me, let me know. We have 2 team members who work for large hospital systems. So they've been great in getting our car seat education piece ingrained in this system called Epic, where it'll just become part of what happens in the hospital. So that's been great. We have one liaison team member who is very connected politically. Her father-in-law is a state senator, so that's been great. We have a Bannock County sheriff, and then we have a couple of members of the Shoshone-Bannock tribe. So we each have unique skill sets that we bring to the table, and it really makes the program great. And it just has, whenever you have more people that have, you know, skin in the game and are involved, then, you know, you're going to have good results. So that's Idaho. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. And Brian, I think that we are all going to be CPS SEC now, which is you're supported, engaged, and certified. Because I think we need one more acronym, right? All of us working in these highway safety programs.
Yep.
And the collaborate with neighborhood states, you know, Denise brought that up in the chat. And I just want to say, wow, what a wonderful thing to do. And we should all engage that a little bit more. So thank you both for being here. Tabitha, Kelly Mason would like to get your materials. And Brian, I think you're going to see a bunch of us reaching out to you as well.
Please.
So we are going to hold questions. We've got one more quick speaker. So we may run over a little bit for questions, but we want to get all the presentations. Lonny, if you want to bring up your slides, if you have ever heard Lonny speak, you're not going to want to miss this. So I'm going to let him do his own introduction, and here you go, Lonny.
All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm going to make it really brief because I want to be respectful of your time. So as long as my slide presentation will come up, there we go. Oh, since I am speaking, I want to make sure I do a breath mint here. So, all right, Check to Protect. I am the new program manager for Check to Protect program through the National Safety Council. What is Check to Protect? It's a national campaign. It's a collaborative approach to addressing open recalls. We have a huge problem in our country about open safety recalls on motor vehicles, and this encourages everybody checking that to make sure that things are prepared and safe. Simply go to checktoprotect.org. You can enter your license plate number and hit the enter button, and off it goes, and it will immediately check to see if your vehicle or caregivers, for those of us doing car seats in the world, have an open recall on their car. When you go to the mobile site, you have the opportunity actually to take a picture of your license plate and send that off through a concierge service. And that too will tell you if there is a recall. 53.2 million vehicles in 2021 is what we're looking at that are recalled. Light trucks, 25% of all light trucks in the United States, 21% of all minivans, 20% of all cars. California alone, 6.3 million vehicles. So this is the scope of the issue. It's a huge problem. There is what we call our heat map. You can pick out your state and look where you're at. But if you notice in the southern part of the United States, we have a huge issue. And you may have heard of the Takata airbag recall. Heat and humidity was the big issue with that. So that's why this is such a pressing issue. So why is it important to a tech? Well, when we're putting in car seats, we need to make sure that the vehicles that the child safety seats are being installed in, we're providing that education for, are safe. There's been recalls on vehicle head restraints because they impact the way the car is installed. Seatbelt retractors, lower anchors, seat belts themselves, seatbelt pre-tensioners. So sometimes it's not only about the child safety seat, but it's about the occupant, the front seat occupants as well. Airbags, everybody's heard about that. 67 million have been recalled. And then there was a second round of recall because of another type of chemical that was used. So there's been 2 rounds of airbag recalls, and that's why we have all the numbers that we do. The NDCF has been mentioned several times. Just so you know, in October, Check to Protect was added to the NDCF, not only on the electronic form. You've got a little reminder, check for open recalls on checktoprotect.org on the screen, but it's also on the paper form. Whenever they're filling out the paper form, right below the vehicle description is a little reminder, checktoprotect.org. Through that data sheet, as Rob mentioned, you can actually monitor the data and such that's being used. Just suggestions for the techs out there, if you would, let them know. Let the tech talk about the recall and what a recall is to caregivers. Highlight the importance of checking for that recall, and then have them use their, not the tech, but the caregiver, have them use their cell device and go back, take a picture of the license plate or put in that license plate on checktoprotect.org, and you'll know right there while you're standing working with that family whether that thing has been recalled or not. So that is real quick. I don't want to get into time. Look at that, 2 minutes to spare. So Mandy, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Wow, Lonnie, I am impressed. That was a lot of information in a very, very short amount of time. But we are going to stick around for questions. We had some really amazing information. We have some upcoming CPS coordinators forums coming. If you have information on your program that you would like to share, if you're doing something amazing, we would like to share it. So please reach out and let us know what you're doing in your state so that we can highlight that. We do want to thank all of our speakers today. Again, we'll stay on for just a few minutes for questions, and please join us for our next CPS coordinators forums. We already have the topics picked out, and I don't think you're going to want to miss them. So thank you again. Tammy, if you'll go ahead and end the recording, we can stick around and visit. Thank you.